Welcome to Inside Design with Kandrak and Cole, hosted by two nationally published Atlanta interior designers, Joanne Kandrak and Kelly Cole. These energetic women are also world travelers, charity givers, and bloggers with a wealth of information to share and stories to tell about the interior design world. Okay, now just a warning, this is going to be fun and not too serious. After all, they still do have an interior design business running at full speed.
Hey everybody, welcome to Inside Design with Kandrak and Cole. We're recording episode 65, which is the Round Top Texas Antique Show. I'm going to give you a forewarning, we're a little punchy today.
Very.
So hopefully this will be a good episode.
Yeah.
Anyway, this podcast is sponsored by Helser Brothers Hardware, which we've talked about before. They are a fully custom manufacturer of drapery hardware, and it is run by two brothers, Jay and Mark Helser. Jay was an expert independent draper installer and designs new products that are installer friendly and engineered for strength. And Mark, he's a talented metal worker with the mind of an engineer and has been regarded as a mechanical genius by all who know him. Helser has an outstanding reputation and they've been in business for 24 years. And I love this. Their customer service agents are known as the Rod Squad.
That's great.
And consist of retired interior designers and drapery workroom owners with decades of experience.
There's hope for us, Joanne.
Yes. They can customize anything. We've witnessed this many times. And any order over $100 is shipped free. You can see their products at Helser Brothers, HELSER brothers.com, or find them on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Pinterest.
So if you're a designer and you're not purchasing from them, you're missing out. So let's get to the topic, which is the Round Top Antiques Fair in Round Top, Texas. We have been wanting to attend this show for a long, long time. And we couldn't get out there because of workload or high point or things getting in the way. But really, one of the main reasons was that we knew that it was very overwhelming and it was really, really large. It is 25 miles of cow pasture after all. And it wasn't until we met up with a friend of ours, Sarah Eilers, who's a Houston designer, that we knew the time was right to go.
Yeah. So Round Top is a show where you can find not just antiques, furniture, rugs, artwork, mirrors, clothing, jewelry, boots, a lot of one-of-a-kind pieces.
Yeah.
So Round Top is located between Austin and Houston and started back in 1968. It's kind of a joke. The population of Round Top is 90. 90.
I bet they all know each other. Or they're all probably related.
Yeah. But in the spring and fall, about 200,000 people descend on this area. It spans over a 20-mile stretch. So you want to fly into, well, if you don't drive, you want to fly into either Austin or Houston and rent a car.
So let's talk about how to navigate it. It's kind of like all of our discussions about High Point. And we really, seriously, we were like, we're not going unless we have somebody to host us and show us the way, because now that we've been, we would have just been dumbfounded. So we went with Sarah Eilers of Lucas Eilers Design. Look her up. She's in Houston. If you need a luxury designer in Houston, she is amazing. And so she was the ultimate hostess. She picked us up at the airport and we stayed at her home in Houston. We went to all her favorite shops and saw her cool office at the amazing, the Houston Design Center, which is so great. And then we left the next day to head to Round Top because it was about an hour and a half drive.
Yeah. So Sarah also found an amazing rental, which was just a few miles from all the action. And, that is one of the things. The places are kind of few and far between, and you need to kind of rent them ahead of time. This was a VRBO that she just happened to look up, but I have a crazy, crazy story about this
and we're
VRBO.
not sharing which one it is because we need to stay there again.
So we have a shop that we go to called Westside Market here in Atlanta. And one of our vendors who we love, Kelly happened to be in there one day few weeks ago, and they were talking about Round Top. He said he was finally going to go. He hadn't been. And Kelly was like, yeah, so are we. Where are you staying? And he said a certain name. And Kelly said, wait a minute, that sounds like the place we're going to. And he goes, no way. Come to find out. Okay, so Round Top is like a two week, maybe almost 3 week show. He was going on the front end of it. he was staying in the exact same house that we stayed in. So he checked out and then we checked in.
That
What
is so
are
freaky.
the chances
You
of
know,
that?
Greg, you never left me a love note. I thought you were going to hide something for me to find, but
He never did.
Yeah, although we did find something under the couch.
Oh.
But he claimed it wasn't his.
Yeah.
you know what I'm talking about.
You know what it was?
Little-
It was a vape pen.
well, maybe not.
It was empty though. Okay.
Maybe not.
So I told you we were pumped cheap. So anyway, so the other thing that you need to do, and Sarah did this for us too, is map out all the shows that you want to go to. When I say shows, there's different tents in different areas, and they go by show names, and we're going to share those with you a little bit later.
Some open later than others. So, for example,
like the first week,
there's
some.
a big show called Marburger Farm, and they didn't open until the second week. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the other little tip for you is save the air-conditioned places for the afternoon. It was so
oh my God,
hot.
seriously, it was 97 degrees and humid.
There's a lot of, there's mostly tents and there's, big fans and stuff, but then there are a few very nice air-conditioned showrooms. So you might want to save those for when you're really, really hot. You have to know where the best bathrooms are because there's
Totally.
a lot of porta potties,
that
which
sounds
weren't
like my
bad.
point.
Which weren't bad, I have to say.
Yeah.
You have to dress very comfortably and bring sunscreen because it's brutal. Mm-hmm. And then this is a very good tip. Bring cash because not all dealers take credit cards. Even if they do, sometimes they would rather have the cash and then you have better options to haggle with that. And then take the time to have a nice lunch, take a break. We went to a great Italian restaurant called Lulu's.
Oh, it wasn't that just... It was such a nice break. We were so hot and... We had been walking, and we just sat down, and we had these lovely salads and wine, and it was really great. And without Sarah, we would have never known.
Yeah. If you go to our Instagram and go on to our highlight reel, we have one round top. And so all the great finds that we have, and I took a couple photos of the restaurant because it was so pretty.
Yeah,
So
that'll
can
give
see
you a
that
good
too.
feel.
Yeah.
So, like Joanne was saying, there's a lot of different quote unquote shows or like areas or, it's kind of, like I said, it's literally 25 miles of cow pasture, but it's broken up with various big buildings and tents and areas. So the first one that you'll hear a lot about, and it was one of our favorites, you can definitely spend a whole day there. I'd say you could probably spend 2 days there, was Marburger Farm.
Yeah, that's the real popular one.
It was just awesome. They have 350 dealers. They do have a little entrance fee. I don't know what it was. I think it was like 20 bucks or
maybe.
something.
Yeah.
It's all outdoor tents. So lots of fans. But we just wore linen dresses to let the air flow. And
Yeah.
I think if we go back, we might be going in April, but because there's 2 shows.
I think Chip and Joanna were there, but they let them in a little early.
Yeah, they did.
Because they would have gotten attacked.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next
By me.
one is the Big Red Barn. This one is 30,000 square feet.
Yep.
Air conditioned.
That was
but
lovely.
Quality antiques. Beautiful estate jewelry, silver. This was probably the higher end, more...
for sure.
for like the finer things were in this Big Red Barn. It was very
Sarah
cool.
was on the hunt she was sourcing for a new build that one of their clients is doing in Rhode Island, and she's a big fan of English antiques, and she picked up, I think in the end she ended up with 9 pieces and shipping them all to Rhode Island, which we'll talk about shipping in a little bit, but she was getting like chests and sideboards and dressers, and the prices were fantastic and the quality was incredible. So she does more traditional design, and they also have a lot of estate jewelry and silver. Is that where you got your pretty?
No,
Your
I
pretty
didn't.
piece?
No, I didn't.
That was at
That
the
was at the compound.
Yeah.
Okay. Speaking of, so the next one is Blue Hills, and that was really fun. That was our very first stop.
Yep.
And that's like kind of the first stop along Highway 237. That's 26 acres.
Mm-hmm.
Antiques, beautiful textiles, outdoor furniture. And then they have a great little place that has barbecue for lunch, and you sit at the picnic tables. So it kind of reminded me of what I thought Round Top would be. A bunch of women walking around with cowboy boots on and hats and just,
Blue Hills
trucking
reminded me
through.
the most of Scott's Antique Market.
Yeah.
So if you
Yeah.
live in Atlanta, literally this is like Scott's on meth. It was literally Scott's times 30. And Blue Hills was probably the best representation, I would say.
Yeah.
Of kind of that same feel.
So the compound, what we're talking about, that is 5 barns. And then there's, once again, beautiful European antiques. This is 40,000 square feet. They had some amazing old doors, beautiful armoires, large mirrors, a lot of French. Yeah, it was.
Is that where we got the rosé in a bottle in a little cooler? I think it was. We had a lot of fun there. They had great stuff.
Yeah.
So some of it's old and new, which is nice because, and that's what I like about places like this. You know, we found a great artist. I can't remember her name right at this minute. Stephanie something. She had beautiful...
Stephanie Wheeler,
thank you. She had beautiful abstract art, and she shows in Atlanta. So that was nice to meet up with her.
We found a few people that we didn't know in Atlanta that we met in Round Top. Another place is Market Hill. This was great, too. This is large and indoor. Amazing art, rugs, decor, furniture. And if you're taking notes, Market Hill has the air-conditioned restrooms.
Maybe
very important.
Market Hill's where we got the rosé. You know, it's all about finding rosé when your hips are starting to hurt in your knees.
Yeah.
And then probably one of just for fun, probably my favorite was the Arbors. The Arbors is more, I would say, Etsy-ish, would you say?
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of like unique artisans, mostly new artwork, textiles and linens, clothing, boots, a lot of handcrafted jewelry. I bought this beautiful necklace that was made in Nepal on a back of a Nepali coin, and we had a lot of fun there. I bought a few rugs. And
is that where I got my cowboy boots?
Is that where you got your cowboy boots? Yes.
Yes, it was.
Yes. That's where you got them. No, you got them at Marburger Farm the next day. We couldn't find them at the Arbors. Yeah.
It's very overwhelming, guys.
It's so overwhelming. And then after all that, we think we're kind of like pros. We go to Scott's last week, and we're seeing a lot of our vendor friends that we saw at Round Top. And one of the people that we buy a lot from, we missed his whole farm. We missed his whole booth at Round Top. I was like, oh my gosh, I finally got there and I totally forgot to find you. But they were like they have a big, huge kind of farm barn thing on the side of the road. And that's the way it is. It's all like on the side of the road. And I just forgot to look for them. So Antiques and Interiors were coming next time. Yeah.
Okay, so here's some of our favorite vendors. Now, this is funny because this vendor shows at Scott Antique Market. We know very well. Pascal Home, Pascal.
Yep.
Gorgeous beds, beautiful tables, a lot of seating, a lot of very, very pretty lighting.
A mix of old and new, I would say.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Southern Classic Jewelry. This is really funny. They also show at Scott Antique Market and America's Mart here in Atlanta.
But we didn't know about them.
We didn't know that. So we walked in, and this is another one of those air-conditioned, really nice locations, and I saw this necklace behind the counter, and I was like, wow, that looks really nice, but it's behind the counter. Let's keep going. So we walked through, and then we were coming out, and as we were getting ready to go out the door we came in, that necklace was on the counter, and there was a lady looking at it, and I was like, dang.
I go, Joanne, just ask about it.
Well,
you never know.
The lady walked away, and it was still sitting on there. So I walked up, and the lady proceeds to tell me about this piece. It's a sterling silver. It's called a nurse's buckle. So back in the early 1900s, a nurse would usually receive this as a gift for graduating from nursing school. They weren't allowed to really wear any jewelry or anything, but they were allowed to wear these decorative, like, silver belts. So I just have the centerpiece of it.
Fine. It's very. It's almost like filigree. You know.
Yeah.
It's a. When you look at it now, so you made it into a necklace. You look at it and you go, whoa, what's that?
What is that? Yeah. So anyway, she was so great. Southern Classic Jewelry. So we'll be seeing them again.
Mm-hmm. There was a cute one called the Crooked Antler. They had just great clothes and accessories and jewelry. I love that.
Another thing about Texas, a lot of embroidered shirts and dresses.
Oh, tons. Kind of a Mexican influence.
Yeah, sort of that Mexican influence for sure. That was really cool.
Kim Hager Home. We know her from our various conferences and roundabout things, and she is a Texas designer, and she had a great booth. She was selling furniture and linens and pillows and accessories.
Just a fun mix of stuff she had.
She has a good Instagram too. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you spell her last name Hoegger, Kim Hager.
Okay, Outpost Original. It just so fit in Texas. They had different horns, boxes, ostrich eggs, beautiful shell necklaces.
I bought a bunch of stuff from her.
Yeah,
and she shows at the Mart.
Yep.
Duh.
Yeah.
But didn't really you have to go all the way to Texas to meet who's in your own town.
Yeah, but you'll see some of these things on our Instagram highlight reel. So if you want to go and check out these pieces, they're cool. And then Stephanie Wheeler, like Kelly mentioned.
Her art.
Yeah, really, really beautiful.
Went crazy.
Oh, Paul Michael Company. This is a huge showroom. It's a very large store, but they sell all different vendors.
Yes.
So, there's pillows. There's, oh my God, they had so much in there.
A little baby white hide rug from there and put it in my powder room. Yeah. I love it.
Then, of course, only in Texas, a place called Haut, H-A-U-T, Horns.
Oh, you got to look them up.
It's a girl that does these bedazzled kind of horns, really kind of funky. They probably look great in like a colorful gallery,
Oh, in a restaurant. I mean, yeah. And then another purchase. I made some purchases as I'm reading through this list. Southern Beasts. Now, we had met this lady in Nashville when we went to the Antique and Garden Show, but she actually lives in Round Top, and she takes vintage fabrics and she covers sculptures in them, mostly animals. She does a few hats, like riding hats, and I bought a little cow that is mounted on a plaque, and he's in my gallery.
You have to see. You have to see it in person.
Just look her up
look them up, because it's not something you could ever explain. Talk about truly one of a kind things. That is it.
Southern
for sure.
Beasts.
Yeah. And then there was Jackie's Folk Art. Now, when I say folk art, that makes me think country kind of. But this was so well done. Now, she doesn't even have a website.
I found her on Facebook too, and I did reach out to her. It's all African American, and it's a lot of kind of Southern scenes, like cotton picking, families.
It's done so well.
It was so beautiful. I wanted to buy one. She was so busy. So many people were talking to her that I didn't get a chance.
Jackie's Folk Art.
Yep, to talk to her.
So those were just. I mean, there was so much, you guys, but there was only so many we could tell you about. But now we can move on to when we needed a break. We did a little panel discussion that was sponsored by Traditional Home. It was moderated by Krista Rossbund, who's their senior style editor. So they had 4 designers who all were instructed to shop all the different shows and find a piece that spoke to them for some reason, or something that they loved, and bring it to the stage. And then they were going to talk about it. So Suzanne Kassler, Martin Lawrence Bullard, Robert Passau, and Mary McDonald.
They did a great job. And it was so funny because it was so obvious that they were out of their elements. They're all from LA and New York, and Suzanne's from Atlanta. But they were all geared up in Texas
Martin,
gear.
he had a cowboy hat on.
It was hilarious. But they really did show the power of antiques in design. And it really was a great point to bring up, because if you're listening to this episode and you're going, I just, antiques, brown furniture, no, I'm contemporary, or I'm modern, or I'm farmhouse, or whatever. I think that you really should take a second look at antiques. They're so easy to mix in with contemporary, straight edge, straight line, clear,
and it doesn't
design.
have to necessarily be antique furniture. It could be, antique art.
Exactly.
An old doors or old windows. Like, there's ways to bring it in so not everything looks so brand new and store bought. That's what I love about it. Very unique, one of a kind pieces that you just,
Absolutely.
you don't see it.
And if you don't live near a big Round Top or whatever, I mean, everybody has little mom and pop antique shops, in their town. And if you don't, then, take a look at One Kings Lane online. Take a look at Cherish. Take a look at Etsy. And it's amazing what you will find that really adds just some depth and some story and some history to your design, to your home, and a lot of it is not expensive.
Yeah.
So I would really, it's always a joy for us when we walk into a client's home and let's say they say, okay, I want my entire family room can be completely redone, but those old antique rocking chairs have to stay. It's like, oh, thank God.
Yeah.
Thank God there's going to be a little bit of grit in this room, because when everything's new, it's just, it just has no personality.
So I will say, if you want to bring large purchases home, depends where you are.
Yep.
They do have services that do that. But I will say this was more like girls shopping trip. Like there were a lot of, females together. So if you wanted to get together with people and purchase things, that probably would be a smart idea because they're somewhat expensive. Like there is a reputable one called Distinguished Transport. So
they're here in Atlanta, actually.
Yeah.
They were there.
And so this is great. Actually, it's a great service. You bring them your receipts. They'll go to each vendor and pick up the items, put them in their trucks, and then bring them back to your home, wherever you want it delivered. And they'll usually do white glove or whatever. So a little bit pricey if you're only buying one or two pieces. But if you're buying a lot or you're sharing with people, it's a great idea. So, for example, a first item to Atlanta was $600 and then $100 for every item thereafter. But like I said, if you're sharing
now that I think about it, it sounded like a lot because we weren't buying anything big, but we flew there. So that's a long drive home.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And I think, like I was saying, Sarah, what was nice about shopping with Sarah is when you think about, oh my God, I can't buy in Texas. My house is in Florida or my client's in Rhode Island or whatever. It was so easy to watch her work. She picked the pieces and then they took care of it, and it was going to Rhode Island, and it was no big deal.
And the other thing, too, is when you're talking about these fine antiques, you're talking about mirrors, you're talking about things that are one of a kind, they have to be dealt with very carefully. And so they are professionals who know how to pack it, who know how to get it across the country if need be. So
I ended up going to Walmart and buying an extra suitcase, a big duffel bag for $20. And because I bought several rugs. I bought some iron candlestick holders for my lake house. I bought a bunch of stuff, and I was like, oh God, I didn't plan this well. So in the thing they went on Delta for $35, and it was a whole lot cheaper than trying to figure out how else to get him home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would totally recommend this trip. If it's a girls' trip, you don't have to be a designer by any means to go to this. It was just a really fun if you love to shop.
Oh my gosh. And the little house that we were at was on a ranch. It was a fairly new little farmhouse. And every night we would sit out on the porch with our wine, and these two horses would come up to our fence, which was literally like right there. And we would feed them apples and carrots. And then one night, I guess the gates were open, and we had all the cattle in this big, huge bowl, and they're all coming up right up to the fence. Joanne loved every second of it. I'm kidding. And it was just, it was like home on the ranch for real. I just loved every second of it. I need to get out of the city, people. I'm just like over it. But so anyway, it's twice a year. It's in April and September. So look it up. There's another big antique fair that everybody talks about that's in Massachusetts called Brimfield. So you never know. My sister who lives on the Cape is gunning to go to that one. So but I would definitely go back.
Oh, definitely.
It was so fun.
Definitely.
Yeah, it was really, really fun.
Yeah.
So that's it. The more you know, the more you know. So hopefully you didn't know about that Round Top, and now you do.
Okay. So I guess it's time for quotes.
I know you love this funny one.
I love
so
this
you
funny
might as well. We were all cracking up in the office yesterday.
Yeah, it's I don't know what it is. Certain things just strike me as super funny, and then when I get ready to read them, I just wonder, is it as funny as I thought?
Yes,
it was? I'm usually looking for them like when I'm tired, because when I'm finally sitting, so I think I get like a little punchy and slap happy. So I do still think it's funny.
Okay.
So being a baby must be so confusing. First you fall asleep at home, then you wake up in Trader Joe's. I mean, think about it. How many times that baby wakes up, then they're somewhere else. And then
you can turn that into so many things. Like you fall asleep in the car, and then you wake up at,
and you have a different outfit on. Yeah.
Okay, that's hilarious. All right, here's a serious quote. Authenticity is not something we have or don't have. It's a practice, a conscious choice of how we want to live. Authenticity is a collection of choices that we have to make every day. It's about the choice to show up and be real, the choice to be honest, the choice to let our true selves be seen. And that's our girl, Brené Brown.
It's true. That's the word of the year, authenticity.
It really is.
I don't really know any other. I don't really know any other way to be. I don't really try to be like anybody else.
Nope. And I think that's why a lot of people kind of gravitate towards us, because there's no BS going on here.
Yeah, no BS going on here.
Yeah. So that's it. Well, we kind of calmed down. We were punchy when we first started. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so our next podcast is going to be one of your faves is design questions.
Yes.
So we haven't done one in a while. So if you have a burning question, or if you know somebody who does,
anything.
challenge,
Give us a buzz. You can email us at podcast@kandrak-cole.com. You can also reach us on info@kandrak-cole.com, or on any of our social media sites. Message us. We will see it right away, and just tell us what your challenge is, what you're worried about, what you can't figure out, and we will address it on the next show.
yeah. Okay. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Have a great day.
Join Joanne and Kelly weekly for a lively conversation about trends, travels to industry events, current design projects, the good, the bad, and the ugly, do's and don'ts, product recommendations, and more. Be sure to follow the fun on Facebook. They're on Instagram @Kandrak-Cole, and of course, you've got to visit them online at kandrak-cole.com for more information.